How is it going, everyone? It's Lumity here, and today I'm going to be talking about Madden 24. I have not played a Madden game in over 10 years. The last one I personally owned was Madden '09, and I got that for Christmas one year when I was a kid, and that's the last time I played, really got into a Madden game. There may have been, like, some demos played throughout the years, maybe, but as far as I can remember, '09 was pretty much the last time I played, and I decided to go ahead and pick up Madden 24. I do like football. I've always been a fan of football. It's just, with the whole Madden games, I got sick of paying so much money for the same thing every single time. And, I grew up playing a lot of Madden, so I pretty much played all the Madden I wanted to when I was growing up. I started on '03, I think, then got '04, '05, '06, '07, '08, '09, and that's when I finally stopped. Actually, I didn't get '08. I didn't play '08. But either way, I just kind of was done with Madden after much of my childhood. I was just like, alright, I don't really care for it anymore. But it had been 10 years, so I figured let's pick it up and see how it's gone, what's new, what's different. And honestly, it feels pretty much exactly the same. It just looks a little bit better. They did remove one feature that I'm very surprised that they did, and I don't know how many games ago they did this in, because, like I said, this is a big gap for me. So, '09 to a Madden 24, it's a pretty big gap there. So, I guess they removed Create a Team. You can't make your own team anymore, and that was a little bit saddening. I liked creating my own team. I always thought that was one of the coolest aspects of the game. I liked being able to create a team anywhere I wanted, in any state, any city. I thought that was such a neat idea, and now that's just gone, and that kind of sucks. That was something I really enjoyed. Now, the only time you see any sort of, like, extra teams is when you go into, like, franchise mode. You can do franchise mode, and I only play single player, so I don't touch the online mode, so I don't know anything about that. But when you go into franchise mode, you can go and you can move and relocate your team. And when you relocate your team, it gives you the option of changing your team's name and basically their color and their theme and everything. But it only gives you a certain amount of options. It gives you, like, preset names and preset uniforms you can use. It doesn't let you actually make your own team, which, again, that's so unfortunate because back in the day, you had so much control over that, and it was so much fun to do. And even the whole, like, creating your own uniform, like, you don't get to do that anymore. Like, you can mix and match pieces of uniforms, but you can't just, like, do your own colors, do your own color scheme, patterns, and everything. All that stuff's gone. It's basically all presets. They basically dumbed it down a lot, and there was no real reason to dumb that down. So the customization in this game, not great, especially when it comes to even, like, the character creation. The character creation itself, even, like, I feel like the old one, you at least had more faces you could use. Like, I think in '03 you had, like, 50-something different faces you can use. In this one, you have, like, 6 presets, and you can kind of make them look a little bit different, but I don't know. I just wasn't a huge fan of the way that even the create a character works. But the actual gameplay is what you really should, I guess, be concerned with. Even though the customization is not as good as the old games, the gameplay is pretty much the same. I enjoy the gameplay. It plays just like how the old ones did. You select play, you snap the ball, you throw the ball, you run the ball, all that stuff. It's football. If you've watched the NFL, if you've watched college football, you know what it is. It's simple, it's fun, and it still feels arcadey, which is good. I did not want this to feel like any sort of, simulation-style game. I don't like simulation-style games. I wanted this to feel arcadey, and to me, it still does feel pretty, much like an arcade-style football game. It doesn't feel like a simulation or anything like that, which is good. The Superstar mode is actually pretty fun. It's not as in-depth as, like, '06's was. '06, I think, was the most in-depth out of all of them, but it's still pretty good. You get to have different houses and stuff. You get drafted by a random team, or you can set it up to be drafted by your favorite team. It's up to you. I had to do a random team, personally, just because I kind of like that more, not knowing who I'm going to have to play with. And I thought that it was pretty cool to, be able to just kind of have your own story and everything. I didn't like the voice acting for it. I wish you could pick a different voice for your character, because it doesn't really, like, that one voice doesn't fit every single character. So that's something I wish that you could change, but unfortunately you can't. Again, that's more of a customization issue. But the actual Superstar mode and the path that you take and everything is fun. You sign a contract at the beginning. You have to play with that team for so many years, and then once you're off that contract, you can sign with a different team. I do wish that it could be like '07 though, because in like '07 you could demand a trade, and I think '09, maybe even '06. I don't remember '06 as much, but I remember in those games, like, if you were doing Superstar mode, you could, like, demand a trade, and they would have to trade you to a different team, or like, something like that, and I miss that. I wish that they would still do that. I don't like that I don't really think your character can be injured at all, so any risk that, comes from, like, running the ball or anything like that doesn't really exist, so that's kind of annoying as well. Your character just kind of feels like a superpowered human at one point. And there is just random teams that will randomly get a weird difficulty spike. And I've noticed it's not every time. It's just random. It's like the game at some points just wants you to lose. And you'll notice it when, like, your teammates just randomly start just dropping the ball. Like, you pass the ball to them and they just drop it and it's incomplete. You'll notice, like, that will just happen a lot in one game randomly. Like, and it's just like, okay, why is this character who catches it, 90% of the time now just dropping it every single pass? And it'll feel like the game's kind of pushing you to lose. And that's even in franchise mode, which I do like franchise mode. Pick a team that's actually in the NFL, and you pick the roster, or you can do a fantasy draft, and you just go through playing the entire team instead of just your one creative character like you do in Superstar mode. In franchise, you pick an entire team, you play through the entire team, you customize it, all that stuff. But even in that, you do notice sometimes it feels like the game just wants you to lose. And I don't know what's up with that. Other people have noticed that as well. I've seen people talk about it online, so I know I'm not alone with that. I just think that's such a weird thing, though, that characters just will randomly just start dropping the ball against, like, certain teams. It almost feels like, I don't know, it almost feels artificial at a certain point. And I don't know, I don't know if it's actually programmed that way or not, but it just feels like it. Like, there's no reason for the characters to just start dropping the ball randomly like that. I don't know. But either way, it still plays fine. It plays just like how the old ones do. It's enjoyable. If you enjoyed the old Madden games, you're going to enjoy this one, but you may be slightly disappointed at the fact that they took out a lot of the customization options. I will say this, too. We are in a time in the NFL where the roster just is not as exciting as it was back then. Back in the day, all the quarterbacks and the wide receivers and everything, there were so many big names back then, so many household names, and I don't really feel like we have that many these days in the NFL. We're kind of in like almost a star drought when it comes to the NFL players. Like, people know Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce or whatever, but like most quarterbacks are pretty much like, are most quarterbacks household names? Like, do most people know who Josh Allen is? Do most people know who, do people know who, I can't even think of another name off the top of my head. Jared Goff. Do people know who Jared Goff is? I'm sure people still probably know Matthew Stafford. Probably. Like, Aaron Rodgers is a big name. He's still in it, I guess, but he's injured. Like, do people know these? Deshaun Watson? Are these names that people are familiar with? Like, I will say, it feels like the star power is gone. There's no Tom Brady's in this. There's no Peyton Manning's. There's no Brett Favre's. There's no Chad Pennington's. There's no David Garrard's. There's no Jason Campbell's. There's no Donovan McNabb's, Michael Vick's. All those players are retired at this point. So you're kind of in this weird area where, yeah, you have a cool Madden game, but the star power is not as powerful as it once was. So I do think that's an important thing to think about as well when you pick up this game, because even playing this, it does make me want to go back and play the older ones where those players were there, I want to play and have a fantasy draft and be able to draft players like Jeff Garcia, draft players like Alex Smith, draft players like, Donovan McNabb and Jason Campbell and Dante Culpepper. I want to be able to do that. And they could easily fix that by having a Legends roster, but there's no Legends roster in this game, which, again, I don't get that decision. That seems like an easy thing to do, but they haven't done it. But overall, if you like football, you're going to like this game. If you've played the other Madden games, you're probably going to like this game. If you're like me and you haven't played in 10 years, you will enjoy this game, but you may be a little bit disappointed with the customization options. That's how I am. I still like this game. I just wish that there was a little bit more customization options. I feel like I've been more down on this game than positive, but I promise you that I do like this game. If I didn't like this game, I wouldn't have, 48 plus hours in this game. I do enjoy this game, and I do think it's worth the money. It's just that I think that we are in an odd time when it comes to football in general, and I do think that they should have kept the stuff that was in it to begin with. There's no reason to ever remove create a team or something like that. So that's my thoughts on it, though. It's worth playing, but maybe add some of the stuff back that you took out, you know, and don't act like it's a special feature when it returns. Don't be like, look, we added create a team. Like, maybe look, we added it back, create a team. Don't try to act like it's some new feature when the old, 2000s Madden games had it. So, yeah, thank you guys for watching. I'll talk to you next time. You have a fantastic day. Bye-bye.